Hello everyone, Mike with Spray Jones. This is question and answer session number 2. So let's get into 4 really good questions that we have about spray foam and its installation. Josiah writes, thank you note first and foremost about our videos and how they've helped him understand closed cell foam, and that he works in a small insulation and roofing company, and that he's surprised at how little good quality information there is about spray foam out on the internet, and that I'm one of the few people that seem to have good information and the research to back that up, and he's curious as to why that is. I guess in all humility, it's just my life's work. I'm anointed to do it. I went to work when I was 22 years old for a company doing spray foam insulation and coatings on the wholesale side of things. We sold foam and coatings to contractors, set them up, built them rigs, trained them, and we wanted the sales on the product. And I was around some very talented and very smart people that gave me my on-the-job education in foam, but they also gave me access to some of the best players in the industry for foam and coatings. And so I got to sit in at a lot of dinners and a lot of lunches and a lot of training sessions for 4 years, just about 5, learning the basics and some of the more advanced things on foam and coatings. And I just soaked it up. And I decided at the end of all of that career that the best move for me was to move into my own contracting firm. Many of the clients were coming directly to me to get their questions answered. They weren't going to some of the upper management, and because they respected my straightforward, frank conversations. And I was really good at explaining how the systems were supposed to work. Like, anybody that gets around somebody that's very, very technical will have a difficult time understanding technical information. But somebody who's truly proficient in their vocation will be able to take complex systems and explain them in such a way that the common masses can understand them and get something out of it. And I've just been gifted by God, I guess, on being able to do that, and that the spray foam world has been my thing. So the suppliers out there are very good at getting the product developed, getting it tested, being very, very technical, spending millions of dollars to get something out there. But what they're really not great at doing, and I've never seen a supplier yet do this, is good at taking it to the end user and explaining why it works the way that it does, and how it would integrate and save them money. And so there's a gap in the world. There's a gap between the supplier end of things, the contractor, and the end user, and sometimes the contractor is the end user. And that's what my channel and my skill set fills, is bridging the two, bridging the knowledge and the very technical side of things with the boots on the ground. What do we do? What does it cost? Why would we do that? What makes sense? And so I always take a very straightforward approach to everything. And it's just difficult to get the industry to explain what it means and why this test report, why would you care? And so it's just an anointed thing. As far as our equipment is concerned, we use Graco Reactor E30s. We use 210 to 250 feet of hose. We have custom scuff jackets and insulation around the hoses. We use Graco Fusion air purge guns. We've got custom dryers, custom air compressors that we've overseen getting built. We don't do a whole lot of trimming with the foam. Therefore, if you do good masking, you don't need to do as much shaving. We spend more time, probably triple the amount of time on prep than we do ever on cleanup. And that's just because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as they say. So going in, making sure everything is clean and neat, and that your gun is spraying well, that your foam system is spraying well, that your settings are dialed in. You're going to put nice, clean, smooth foam on, detail out your project, and you'll have less cleanup and trimming. Our rigs are fully mobile. We like to use truck and trailer outfits because then we can leave the trailer at the site if we have to, or if we have to go get something, we're not with a standalone unit. So we've tried other systems, we've tried other pieces of equipment, and there's just nothing out there that lasts like the Graco. The fusion guns are very fast and easy to rebuild. Not a whole lot goes wrong with them, and as a result, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, and that's what we use. And I hope that helps you in your decisions. Mock Daddy 57, I hope I'm saying that right, writes, if I'm putting in an exterior weeping tile and membrane, should I take advantage of the excavation and spray foam the exterior? So I'm assuming that we're talking about an exterior of a basement or some type of foundation that's in the ground. And the answer is absolutely yes. We are firm believers in putting spray foam to the outside of foundations. The only technical issue with that is wind, rain, and cold weather. However, if it is not going to be windy, rainy, and having cold weather, then when you have the exterior excavation done and it's all cleaned off, then yes, spray foam, closed cell spray foam, anywhere from an inch to as many inches as you want to build up, should be placed on the outside of the concrete. Now, one thing that you need to check into is deleting the membrane. You very well might be able to take the membrane out of the equation and save yourself some money. But for that to happen, you need to have a proven, certified system that has been tested for in-ground so that it meets code. We've had the wall-type product tested, certified. We've had an engineer write an opinion paper on it, and we actually have detailed drawings so that when somebody wants to do what you're talking about doing, we give them the technical specs, we give them the sealed drawings, and we say, here you go, it's approved for no membrane. And we put the foam right directly to the concrete. I've done jobs where I've sprayed 2 inches, and I've done jobs where I've sprayed 1 inch. In every situation, there's good drainage. We're not sitting in an ultra-high water table where we're going to be at 100% saturation all the time. It's a normal drainage plane, and there is a weeping tile system to direct the moisture away. In those situations, the foam works absolutely amazingly. It will warm the basement up, and you won't have the membrane issues, the seam issues, the cupping issues, the fish mouth issues, and if the concrete is clean and dry, the foam is going to stick absolutely tenaciously and be in a wonderful, wonderful system. You'll be a little technical on how you dial in the above grade portion. If you go above where the ground level is going to be, that'll be a little technical. If you'll have to terminate it at a flashing or a transition detail, but you can work all of that out. So yes, definitely do it. John Bast writes, I have a pole shed that is about 25 years old and I would like to insulate half of it for a workshop. It's 30 feet by 60 feet. What's the best way to do the ceiling? Could I do the bottom side of the roof or put in a ceiling? Okay. Spraying down onto the ceiling from inside the attic is answered clearly in my video, spraying down onto drywall. And should this be done? On a pole shed that's only 30 by 60, you're not going to have enough room to get out towards the edges and spray down onto the plates and so on and so forth. Again, I clearly go over this in that video. So I'll put a card in here and you can click on the card right now and go watch that if you want. However, getting back to what is the best way to do half the shop. Well, I would put a partition wall where you're going to divide it. So if you're going to make a 30 by 30 shop, in the attic I would sheet the truss that will line up with a clear termination point of where you would put your demising wall. So your demising wall would be underneath that truss in the attic. That truss in the attic would then be sheeted with plywood. And then the spray foam guy would come in, and from one side, it really doesn't matter which side, he would spray that gable and 100% partition off that section from the other section, and then continue spraying to the underside of the roof deck, tie it in and complete it. If it's got a gable end on the other end, finish that gable, and then you have your very own standalone warm structure, and you're good to go. I've done this before. I did a 300-foot long pole shed for a farmer that was leasing out the back 120 feet, and he wanted the remaining for himself, or maybe it was 200 feet and he was taking 100 feet or something like that. Anyhow, that's exactly what we did. Partitioned it off, sprayed the walls, sprayed the roof. He has warm shop on one side, cold shop on the other. Good to go. If budget is a really stickler for you, like you've got a tight budget to work with, then spray foam isn't going to be it. Just blow in the roof and put a ceiling up there and blow it in conventionally, and do that for pennies on the dollar type of thing. Otherwise, the spray foam system will work fine with the proper partition in the attic. Eric Gress writes, I'm looking at spray foaming my new house build in Indiana. My master bedroom has 34 feet high ceilings. I'm worried about having the ceilings sprayed. Number one concern is what happens if my metal roof ever leaks. Would the foam trap the water and rot the plywood out? Okay, let's stop there. So I'm assuming that we're talking about some sort of either a vaulted roof system, or it doesn't matter. If you have spray foam to the underside of the roof deck, that's what your concern is about the plywood. The plywood would be on the roof. Okay, well, this is a really good question. Very common to be asked this, but let's just look at this from a standpoint of logic. Old-fashioned thinking and ideas say that we want to have the ability for a leak to come inside the structure, wreck the structure, get past the shingles, get through the insulation, wreck part of the insulation, wreck part of the drywall, leave water stains, other damage inside the house, rot and mildew inside the house, so that we can use that as our indicator that we have an exterior leak and that we will then diagnose the leak. Okay, that's foolishness. New conventional thinking now is that, all right, we're going to terminate and stop the leak from ever getting in, and if there is a leak, if our exterior envelope is compromised, then the damage will be isolated to the area in question that has been compromised. And that's exactly what you get with the spray foam insulation. So if you are using closed cell spray foam to the underside of the roof deck, go ahead and get your high quality roofing, your membranes and all that put down. And if there is somewhere that has become damaged, that is where the damage and the issue is going to be. And I have gone through this before with a roof. One, we had some shingles ripped right off of a roof in a big plow windstorm, and there was huge patches of the roof that had no shingles on them anymore, but yet the seams in the plywood were exposed. Well, they had closed cell spray foam, and the closed cell spray foam stopped the water from coming in all those seams, and they were the one house out of 50 down the block that didn't need to go and put tarps all over their roof. Now, when the insurance claim was made, they had to fix up some of the sheeting that was slightly damaged because it had to stand up to the elements in the meantime, but they didn't need to re-roof the whole thing. All right. I've also had jobs where snow has gotten under the shingles repeatedly for 8 or 9 years, compromised the plywood underneath, and they had closed cell spray foam. And in those situations, the plywood was sliced with a skill saw. Sections of it were pulled up. That brought some of the spray foam up with it. The spray foam was then touched up with a do-it-yourself foam kit. It's one of the few times that I approve of using a DIY kit. New plywood was put down. New membrane was put down in the valley. New shingles were tied in, and this time properly weaved so that the water and the snow couldn't get underneath them, and problem solved. If you are using open cell spray foam, like the second part of your question here says, you have a vented roof, vented soffit, and worried about getting air circulation. I had 2 contractors come out, and both said they would spray 8 inches on the vaulted ceilings. So if it's 8 inches, I'm quite assuming that they're going to be using open cell foam. I can't see anybody using 8 inches of closed cell foam. So if it's 8 inches of open cell, so be it. If that's going to meet code in your area, perfectly acceptable. In fact, open cell foam is not going to hold the water back. So if the roof is compromised to the outside, it's going to let the water go right through it. And it may or may not wreck the open cell foam. It depends on how much water and for how long, and whether it can support the weight. I have seen open cell foam rip down when there's a big enough leak. So the spray foam had to be resprayed. As far as the vented roof and the vented soffit, I'm not quite following why that's a problem. We've got a lot of homes that were intended to be batted. They had all the vents cut in, they were ready to go, and then they switched them to spray foam. The vents just go to nowhere. You're going to put insulation stops, you're going to put cardboard stops to prevent the spray foam from going into the vents, but the vent is in essence going nowhere. It's terminated to the outside, and the envelope is perfectly sealed to the inside. And it's just a mute issue. You spend money on the vents are there on the roof, they don't look aesthetically all that pleasing, but they're doing nothing and going nowhere. And I haven't ever seen a problem with it when the envelope is sealed and well sprayed. If the guy misses something, then moisture can get back out into the vent, and the vent can frost up and tell you that you've got a greater issue at hand. So I don't see this being an issue. We've sprayed lots of roofs. Just again, make sure that your people have all of their certifications, all of their technical data. They've got all of their approvals for the building code, and just vet them out and verify them and make sure that they know what they're talking about. But I don't see it being a problem, and we do this all the time in our neck of the woods. So thanks for your question. If you stuck it out this far in the video, I thank you. You are a diehard Spray Jones follower. Thank you for everyone that has asked a question, and to all the subscribers, thank you so much. This channel is growing, validates that I'm on the right track, and will continue to bring some of the best content that you'll see this year and some interesting projects. Click subscribe, remember to like and share, and I'll see you on the next one.